Was it the same as last time? Is that okay?
Sorry?
Same things as last time?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah. Sorry, give me a second. Just always forget to do this. We're going to do chapter 9, verse 27. So you know, have a look at that. Chapter 9, verse 27. Do you guys eat cheese?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not allergic to lactose. Anything like that.
I can eat a lot of cheese today.
I eat a lot of cheese. Yeah.
I'm so wanted to eat. I'm gonna have probably going to end up having lots of sugar in that.
Oh, okay. It's trying to make me get ice cream, which is not quite. No,
Verse
so chapter 9, verse 27.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah, chapter 9, verse.
Introduction.
Right, yeah, let's go through it. Okay, right. You can also Google it if you don't have the book, because there's a database does Prabhupada's.
Oh wow, you're carrying the two phones now.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of this. Like the front screen, I can't really use it.
Oh.
And,
Well, Krishna is there. He is knocking doors. Come on, shut the door.
somebody's. All right. So should we read it together? And then.
Are we going to do the prayers first?
Oh yes, yes. Sorry, forgive me. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, forgive me. Give me a second. Distracted by food. Here we are. Om Janati Murandasya Yananjana Salakya Kaksuru Minutam Yena Tasme Sri Guru Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manabhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dati Swapandikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sayanarasanatavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Panchadanaya Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Pisatam Sutamuscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopisa Gopikanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kancha Gaurangi Radha Vrindavadaswati Visabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamai Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Taruscha Kripa Sindhuyo Evacha Patinana Pavanabhyo Vaishnavayo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sirasad Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Prabhupada ki jai. Nityananda Gaur Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol. All glories to the Sample devotee. Hare Krishna. That's the only prayer I remember.
Oh, that's good.
Mahaprasad ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nityananda Gaur Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol. I love that prayer.
Yeah, that's a good prayer. Okay, so 9.27. Mata, did you want to read it?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try, it's not perfect.
Yeah?
Yet karusi,
Yep.
yet asnasi,
Yep.
yet juhosi,
Yep.
dadasi yet,
Yep.
yet tapasyasi,
Yep.
konteya, tat kurusava, mat arpanam.
Brilliant. Well, we can all do it together.
Yat
Yat
karosi, yat
yat
anasi, yat jahosi, dadasi yat, yat tapasyasi, konteya, tat karusava, madhanpanam.
So, this is right in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, which is the chapter on devotional service. Yeah. So, as you know, many times I've done, the first 6 chapters Karma Yoga, middle 6 chapters Bhakti Yoga, and final 6 chapters is Jnana Yoga. And Bhakti Yoga is the secrets in the middle. The other 2 things assist in getting Bhakti Yoga. So, people will say there are many important verses in the Bhagavad Gita, but this is probably like top 3, if not the first most important verse in many ways, because it allows practical application to get you the move from Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga into Bhakti Yoga. Yeah. So if you imagine now, there's only a few things to remember here. So, Srila Prabhupada's commentary to verse 10.10 is telling us that Karma Yoga, KJ, and Jnana Yoga, JJ, is leading you to Bhakti Yoga.
Why does J? What you read?
Well, I mean, it's they use a phonetic alphabet,
Oh.
so it's like you can use Y or J. Jnana Yoga. But the point is, it's leading you to Bhakti Yoga, okay? And there's some core principles. So this is like a really, I mean, it's probably the most important verse, I would say. Right? So what this verse does is it gets you to understand that there's really 2 types of acts that you can carry out. Okay? One is, in very simple terms, one is for Krishna. You're doing something for Krishna. And then there's another level where whatever you're doing it for, yourself, country, nation, extended selfishness, as Prabhupada calls it, is not for, just not for Krishna. Okay? So that anything you do, no matter anything you do, the spirit of this verse, we'll do it in more detail, is like, I started breathing, I'm breathing. Am I breathing for myself or am I breathing for Krishna? Every single thing you do, right? So that is the benchmark, yeah? So, no worries.
Sorry, I have to take this.
No, it's okay, it's okay. So the benchmark is the, I'll repeat this when she comes back in. Benchmark is the pure devotees here. And everyone else, all the rest of us, we're over here somewhere. We're somewhere over here, right? So let me just put for Krishna here, not for Krishna, right? And there's a band of like, this is the level you get to, and then there's lots of things happening, sort of, you know. And this is like 100% not for Krishna, yeah, and this is 0% not for Krishna, this is 100% for Krishna, okay? So there's like, we're doing all sorts of stuff here, and hopefully we're sort of progressing, this is us. We're progressing ups and downs, but eventually we'll make progress to get over here. Okay. And what Krishna is doing in this verse is he's really going into some detail. He's going to town on this, right? So he starts off with Yat Karosi, which means whatever you do, which is kind of a really big injunction. Whatever you do, right? Whatever you do that for me. So forget the rest of the verse, just got the first two words. Whether you're putting cereal in the bowl, you know, or whether you're washing your car, you figure out a way to think about me through that process. And then you will get to pure bhakti. Now, what is pure bhakti? We know that Bhagavad Gita, I'll go slowly, right? Bhagavad Gita already tells us the final chapter of this Karma Yoga section, chapter 1-6, the final verse, 6.47, okay? That verse comes up almost every other talk you'll ever see in my Swami. Yeah? So, who is the highest yogi, which is a devotee, is always thinking of Krishna, right? And the way you do this is this verse gives you the mechanism, 9.27. Right? Everything you do is for Krishna. Okay? And so, the understanding is, I'm going to do something this evening, what do I do for Krishna? So the first thing that a pure devotee is thinking is, what's next for Krishna? What's next for Krishna? What's next for Krishna? What do I do next for Krishna, right? And the thing is that that person is in a total state of happiness. Because what Bhakti Yoga, as a yoga teaches us, is that a state of unhappiness, right? So right now we might not be happy, elatedly happy, right? Anything that's not elatedly happy in a deep sense, of the soul, like deep true sense, is just selfish. So as soon as we're down here in the selfish zone, or mixed selfish zone, not for Krishna zone, then we'll have moments of happiness, moments of not fleeting happiness, and goes, happiness goes. Yeah? And Devaramacha Swami, he calls this, if you want people to define what happiness is, it's when they're not in trouble or pain. They think that kind of, on the beach, I've got to work for an hour, They think that's happiness. But actually it's not, that's sort of zombie inactivity. There's no pain at the moment. If you take somebody who's in hospital because they've got pressure sores or some problem in their body, it's the moment when the pain relief kicks in. And the Bhagavad Gita, whole Prabhupada's mission is about, don't live your life like that. It's a pretty horrible way to live your life. That's in the kind of zone of misery. So we want to be here. So what we need is a practical way of doing this. What we get stuck on is, okay, that's a really great idea, but how do I actually implement this, right? And there's two ways of implementing this. Firstly, you have to repeat this idea to yourself. Before and after you chant, maybe halfway through you chant in the morning you pause. Yeah? And then after you finish chanting, you have to go, okay, I need to live this day for Krishna. So what do I do? And it's a kind of a freaky process because you've been conditioned over trillions of births to be selfish. And suddenly you go, now you're going to be unselfish. It's like, I know you spent your whole life graffitiing on walls, but now I want you to paint oil on canvas. It's a bit weird when you first start doing it. Right? So it's going to take some time to alter the brain to go, today's about Krishna, today's about Krishna. Yeah. And what will happen is, because you will eventually take this seriously, because Krishna pulls you towards him, you'll basically do, if you look at Jeff Bezos, the guy who owns Amazon, he's planning the next 12 months for his business, or the next 3 years for his business. He's got spending the whole weekend, all these great entrepreneurs, business people, spend the whole weekends or have retreats. They go on retreats to think about how to plan the growth of their business, right? And you're basically going to plan, what am I going to do constantly for Krishna? And this is one of the most exciting things, plan the getaway weekend, to plan this, And you come out, okay, next week I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, And then I'm going to have 20 minutes of lunch, I'm going to do this. And you'll start planning, right? So what will happen is the standard of whatever you do, you're going to start getting closer and closer to standard, right? And Krishna, because he's totally in charge of material energy, as soon as he sees you're going further on that treadmill, he's going to make the treadmill go faster. Right? Or imagine you're in an airport and there's a really long, what they're called, belts that you stand on and take you to the airport. But he's going to make that belt go a lot faster. Because, you're not just standing on the belt now, you're on the right belt, you're standing on the belt, but now you actually start to walk. We're going to make the belt go faster as you come to the other end. And you're going to see this. You'll notice over a period of 18 tours, start looking at your Bhakti 2 years of bits, start thinking, wow, actually, I've come a long way, I've got to go further. And then you'll start getting to this point of, Prabhupada used to say that you can be free in this body. Okay? Something I was in the class about this morning, I went to class this morning about. And the answer is yes, because once the soul is aligned with Krishna, the body, which is material energy, is subordinate to Krishna. So everything starts, it's almost like you thought there was a big wall imprisoning you in it, and then suddenly you wake up and it's like there's nothing there. You just see feel. That's how it will feel like. It's a really kind of freaky kind of feeling. But this is only by constant change, right? So how do you get a kid to tie shoelaces? It takes a few years. If I just be lazy, my mum will come and do it, right? Any kid in the world, right? I'll pretend I'll stick it in this leg and tie the shoelaces together. Teacher will get annoyed and do it for me. But eventually, like, the parent will go, come on, make an effort, and I'll do the rest of it. Make a bit of an effort. Krishna is our ultimate, he's the ultimate father, right? It's like, okay, you're not making an effort, I'm going to show you. And you have to practice and practice and practice. So you have to little small child hands have to do a shoelace. It takes time. So this kind of change of behavior from selfish to non-selfish, real non-selfishness, which is doing everything for the Lord, is a process of inculcation, which means repeatedly say that to yourself. In Latin, inculcare, it means stamping with the heel. That's what the verb means. You're stamping it into yourself, right? And what's going to happen is the magnetic force of material energy is going to make you forget. You're going to go on the bus and you go, or go in the car and go, put Led Zeppelin on now for a bit. And it's just going to go. But what will happen over time is you go, no, not Led Zeppelin. Kirtan, YouTube, boom, in the car, And when I get home, if I go home normally, I'll just go and start reading a newspaper. But no, I'm going to be too tired. Well, I don't want to read Bhagavad. I'm too tired to read Bhagavad. I'm too tired to read Gita. But what I'll do is I'll go home, I'll go relax for 10 minutes, have a hot bath, so that I can read Bhagavad Gita. So now you're relaxing and having a hot bath when you get home, so you can do something for Krishna, or think about Krishna. So now that's become dovetail all of a sudden. See? And then as you practice this more and more, every day, everything will be about something else to do with Krishna. And it will just like flow, like there'll be a flow from one point to another point, And then you'll just know that you'll just be able to turn it on. Like you'll turn it on and go, okay, I need to go to a meeting and do some work stuff. And you're back on the Krishna. Okay? And that's just there so that you can pay for your fuel and pay for your food, so you can be back on the Krishna thing. And that's the way you're going to start thinking. I'm only getting to the supermarket, so I need to feed this body, because this body belongs to Krishna, and I can do these other things I've made a list of. But you have to be proactive. You have to go, the next 14 days, this is my Krishna activities. And then be more proactive and go, yeah, but that's not, I can do a bit more. I can stretch myself a little bit. And then a month later, I can stretch myself a bit more. So you have to do this kind of proactive thing to eventually be able to tie your shoelaces. Otherwise, the kid will just take 3 years to tie shoelaces. Or the parents have to take a day off from work to sit there with the kid just to tie the shoelaces or to do a tie. Because it's a weird big habit to learn for a kid. And we're like, in the Bhakti space, we're like children because we've been selfish for so long, so many births, that we have to approach this like, I need the mental energy to then do this. So there's real practical aspects of neurology which help with this. So when you're learning a new habit, you have to, in the first 2 or 3 months, you have to retain the energy to execute the new habit. So you can't go to zero exhaustion every day. You have to go, so if someone wants to go to the gym, an exercise routine, they say that try not to do it in the evenings because you're more likely to miss it because you'll be tired. So it's harder for the brain to put the habit in. So you want to kind of pre-wire how you're going to approach Krishna as early as possible. Like today, for me, japa tomorrow is really something that I'm working out towards the evening. It's not happening in the morning. It's like I'm already like thinking, you know, just the rhythm of the first 4 rounds is going to be like this, and you know, and I'm going to be totally focused, and I just want to sit, and I've got to make sure. And what happens is, because you're thinking about japa like someone's going to the gym, they're going to get the gym kit ready at 9 o'clock. Everything's going to be ready. You know, the diary will be done. They're not going to eat late because they don't have to ruin their sleep. So it's going to be about going to the gym. So you have to approach your bhakti like that. You have to have this. If you're going to do everything for Krishna, if Krishna himself is saying that's the gold standard, then you've got to plan that. It's not something initially that you can do without planning. Otherwise, your bhakti is like this. It's like you have weeks where your natural energy is very enthusiastic, and you have next week slumping, you know. And it takes ages and years to kind of get it right. But just by being proactive, okay, you know what, I'm going to be tired tomorrow because I've got this to do. So let me kind of factor that in so it doesn't affect my chanting the next day. And when people start thinking like this, they'll start doing more and more stuff for Krishna because they'll be planning it in advance. So, and I'm repeating that a little bit, but you know. So if you go through the verse, Karoshi yat ajnasi, whatever you eat, yat jihosi dadasi, whatever you services you perform, whatever you give away, tapasya, konteya, iti korusara mad aparanam, whatever you do, all these things, do them for me. Because ultimately, you are mine, you're part of me, you're the missing part of me, and all this material energy is mine, and you're not going to misabuse it. And that way, you're going to fill the hole in your heart. Right? Okay. So I wanted to bring in, I don't know if you've seen these babies' toys where the babies have to put shapes in the little boxes to kind of fit the shapes in, to learn coordination. So what we have is, there's a Krishna-shaped hole in our hearts, right? And we need to fill that. The only way that hole in the heart, everyone's hole in their heart is Krishna-shaped. They don't realise it. And by filling the Krishna in, that hole will be complete, and then there won't be a problem. The hole will be filled. Right? So we have to do. The only way we can do that is go, what's my plan? You know. So, like for me, I do a lot of external bhakti courses. Like sometimes I go up to 11 at night. I start to get up early and chant. And I have to have I know that if I want to chant regularly, I've got to have. Then I don't like to do it, but I'm going to learn all this information, so I don't have to have a nap. So the next day I just wake up at 4 or 5 or whatever, and just still chant. And I've got an exam on Srimad Bhagavatam at 5 in the morning. Still to be ready for that, still to revise for that. I do all my work stuff. But what it does is, by keeping the pressure on, right, and not like having gaps, Krishna's always going to be there. What you don't want is, if there's a gap, there's Maya, there's material energy. Right? So the rest is to do more bhakti.
Just a question.
Yeah.
Like wanting to work, like I'm doing random things constantly.
Yeah.
Do I just put what I'm doing this work as just for feeding the body to do service of Krishna, or do I have to break every little thing down?
No, I think you've got to work. I do different things at work. Sometimes I'm going to do spreadsheets, sometimes I write tables, sometimes I talk to clients, sometimes I go to meetings, just a sales pitch, like today. But like today, there's quite a big sales pitch. But really, like I was back on, like I got into my car. I've got my car. I've got Bhagavad Gita loaded, Chaitanya Charitamrita loaded, and it was like I know it's a hallucination because the body's a hallucination. Our meeting is a hallucination. Krishna was there as a super soul, deciding what was going to happen. I didn't have to worry about even what was going to happen. I just turn up and do my thing. Back in the car, the Bhagavad Gita was back on. I'm rusty on the 18th chapter, so I'm going to go through the 18th chapter again, whether I like it or not. So I'll believe myself, make myself do that. But that I couldn't do before. I'd be back in the car and going, right. I mean, 25 years ago, I'd be back in the car, like, let's go to McDonald's and go to the pub. You know, that's the only thing I was thinking about. But it took all those years of like, hang on. Today, no. Today, you go to the temple. Today, do something for Krishna. And I was doing it without realizing. You know, when you start off being attracted to this Krishna consciousness, it's happening randomly at the early stage. But after a while, when you get to start really, really serious, you go, okay, I'm now serious about this. You know, it's like kids at school. They go, do you know what? I think I'm going to try and be a professional basketball player. So before, bhakti is like a lifestyle thing, or it's like something you do that makes you feel better. It gives you that comfort of yeah, there is God, and my life isn't all miserable. I need you, God, and there's a whole material thing. I'm going through a process, a phase. Eventually, it's like, no, you are a professional. What's the end of the sixth chapter? You're a professional yogi is the devotee. So you're now a professional yogi. So then it becomes like, this is my career. Like some people just want to be lawyers, you know. So that's, at some point your switch will click from, this is something I'm doing because I'm getting purified, I'm getting purified, making me feel better, it's helping my life, helping my stress, controlling my mind, all those things of my childhood or whatever, or you know, my previous marriage or whatever it is, or my business didn't work out, all these things I want people. But eventually it's like, understanding will come, that's all material bullshit. I've had that problem in millions of lives. Why am I worried about my mortgage in this life? I had a mortgage in another life that I was probably worried about. That's hallucination. Now, this is the time I'm going to be a professional basketball player. Once that clicks, then you're suddenly the plane has gone straight, 1 second, it's gone from the cargo hold, not just to the gate, straight on the runway, bang. Okay? But I think that's a decision we make. It's like, it's nothing, in some ways there's nothing spiritual about it. It's not a spiritual decision. It's a decision. Some people go, you know what, I'm not going to be on benefits and be a bum anymore when I get my first job. It's something that happens in the brain. This is what I'm going to take seriously. I'm going to try and have a career. You know, and those are all good things, you know. So at some point you're going to go, okay, I've dabbled. But actually, the only purpose of my existence is to serve Krishna. Everything else, and you might swear or say, you know, everything else is shit, you know. This is it. And once you make that decision, Krishna's already in the heart, super soul, forearm, Paramatma. He will see that switch flick, and bang, and the party starts. And it's the greatest party in the world. I mean, there is no party, and you know, I've been to parties in Russian embassies and poured vodka over my head, millions of pounds of vodka over my head. You know, I've done all sorts of other things that people wouldn't believe in the material world, right? But I think it's sort of nonsense. Sort of rubbish doesn't make you any happy, makes you more depressed. And you know, the real party begins when this switch happens. Okay, yeah. Because what's happened is, what's happened to your soul is tree, bear, scorpion, worm, bang, you know, human, back down to worm, yeah. Yeah, leave it there, please. Yeah. Oh, yeah, thank you. Sorry, I have to give you the book for 3 months. Just read Prabhupada Hot's books. Sorry about that. This changes karmic journey forever. So, yes, this switch is like this amazing thing that happens where you go. Remember I said in November, October last year, I said we're talking about 16 rounds. I said I'd rather not die than not do 16 rounds. Remember me saying that? Yeah. That's because you've done that switch where you've gone from I enjoy Bhakti, I enjoy going to the temple, I enjoy going to class, I go to Kirtan, enjoy just reading books, when you go, no. My life is about Krishna first. I don't care if I'm burnt or a stake. You know, like Jesus Christ approach to God. You know, the devotees approach to God. You know, Prabhupada is an old man, gets on the boat, comes all the way to New York. So, Mataji, what we've been talking about, I'm going to rehearse and rewind this because it's quite intense. So we looked at the first 2 words of this verse. Because I think that encompasses already everything else that follows. And Karoshi, whatever you do. Yeah, so if you look at the last sentence of the translation. You can see that? Yeah, so what it means is every breath, everything you do for Krishna. Yeah? So when we looked at this, let's rewind this. So in verse 10.10, chapter 10, verse 10, we have Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, which we talked about before you left. And there's basically the point of both of those is the Bhakti Yoga, yeah? 9.27 is that. So there's two types of activities that you carry out. Activities for Krishna and activities not for Krishna, right? But Steve asked a very good question. What if I'm doing different things at work? And what if I'm washing the spoons? Am I doing that for Krishna? Well, you can make that for Krishna. It's the mindset behind it. Krishna's in your heart, looking. Why are you having a bowl of cereal? So I was doing some rice. I was kind of moving. I was making some rice, and I was thinking about baby Krishna running around and making rice, and it's like people think I'm crazy, but so I put the rice out, and I went, "This baby Krishna's running around." I was like, "It's here. You might not be hungry yet. But I'm going to wait for you. I'm just waiting for it." So what you're doing, a normal person making a rice is like, starts eating it straight away. There's no interest in connecting to God in a way. But your mentality as a devotee is different. You're only making the rice for Krishna. Oh, Krishna's eating. Okay, what's left? You know? Oh, you've left a lot for me. That was not unnecessary, but that's the mentality. You know? So that's doing for Krishna is the mindset. You know? In criminal law, there's two things that make a crime. Okay? There's the act, but you have the intention. Okay? So the difference between murder and manslaughter, for example, if I accidentally hit a swan in England and kill the swan, I haven't murdered the swan. Okay? In England, you can murder a swan, I think, because they all belong to the crown. But if I'm accidentally do it, my intention is not to kill it. If I go, oh, I'm going to run into that swan, the intention is to murder. Yeah? The difference between murder and manslaughter, if I want to kill somebody with intent, that's murder, I'm going to kill them. If I accidentally drop something on the floor, went on fire, my house burnt down, and someone died of it, manslaughter, you don't get the same sentence. Right? So in Bhakti, like in criminal law, intention is critical. From turning a material mundane act into a spiritual act and turning it for Krishna. So if you're going to work and you're doing whatever, collecting, helping wild animals or working with schools or computers or whatever it is, if your end game is look at this is my budget for Krishna, I can do this for Krishna afterwards, I'm going to go to temple, this is for me to fuel my car. If everything becomes about Krishna, you're not in the selfish zone. This is not for Krishna, this is for Krishna. So you're in a devotee zone. Yeah? This mixed zone is called, we call it Mishra, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, Karma Mishra Yoga, Mishra means mixed intentions. So that's part of the purification process. Yeah? Now, we know it doesn't matter what you do, it's the intention that matters, because what is Arjuna been asked to do in the Bhagavad Gita? Something extremely horrific. No, he's going to go around killing people. He's not just going to go around killing people, he's going to go around killing his relatives. Right? It's pretty hardcore. But he can do that with love. Kill his relatives with love because he's doing it for Krishna. Before he was like, should I kill them, should I not kill them? But now he knows that the rule above all rules is to do everything for Krishna. When you hit this verse, bang, okay. This week doesn't belong to me because time in the material energy, part of Krishna's material energy, it says in the Bhagavad Gita, his body is subject to time, his body belongs to Krishna. I'm just a soul that's trying to stupidly steal Krishna's material energy. So, but now as soon as you give it back to Krishna, everything changes. So I just said that everyone has a hole in their heart, and they can feel that. They're never really happy because there's a hole in their heart. But the hole in the heart is shaped like Krishna. And the only way the hole in the heart is filled is by putting the Krishna into the heart. And the only way you can do that is, if you're truly in love with someone, like, we've all had teenage romances, right? You sit there and like, is he going to text me, or, I don't know, back in the day, or is there going to be an envelope with a Valentine's card on for me, or when I go to school the next day, will she look at me? It's thinking, contemplating. She's shifting the contemplation to Krishna. And because we've been conditioned the wrong way, it's going to take us time. Like, as I said, learning to tie shoelaces for children takes time. If you don't work on it, you have to suddenly, they get to 12, they can't do it, you have to spend a whole week on it. Like a crash course, tying shoelaces. So you don't want to get to like 84 or whatever and go, you know what, maybe there's something in this Krishna thing. Because it's a bit contrived. So knock on the door. We went out on a date 40 years ago, but I actually do like you. Where have you been for the last 40 years? I know, but I did like you. I was thinking about you sometimes. It's just I couldn't quite get to your door. And it sounds a bit like, I don't believe you. And Krishna's a person, so he's not going to go, well, okay, well, at least you turned up, but it's a bit late. Krishna will always give you the benefit, he's got infinite mercy. But you don't want to behave like that. You want to get to this platform. Okay, and the way you do that, and I have to do that to myself to go, I caught you out, you had a selfish motive. Who are you making food for? I let myself lapse, but I know that over time, the factors that happen. If I go, I've suddenly eaten food, I didn't think about Krishna, I offered it robotically with the prayer, to the deity or whatever. I didn't really think about Krishna. But if I do that, I go, how much did I sleep yesterday or the day before? Why am I tired? Did I do some other bhakti task? And there'll be a factor as to why have I lost that concentration there. So what you start doing is planning your focus on Krishna. If I worked 14 hours a day, Monday and Tuesday, probably my bhakti level on Thursdays, for most people, not going to be very good. And they're going to go back into the mind. As soon as they're away from Krishna, they're back into energy. Is this happening? Am I worried about this? What's going to happen? And it's all nonsense because it's not the body. It's complete, it's a hallucination. You've had these doubts, fears, and thoughts and meanderings in the mind many, many births. So, the essence, in the middle of this chapter, amazing chapter of Bhakti Yoga, chapter 9, the essential verse is, everything you do for me. And then you really start to have fun. Because that's what you're supposed to do. We're supposed to be playing with each other in the spiritual world. I'm supposed to be jumping over your back. You're supposed to be spraying water on me. Whatever your relationship with the Lord is. And the Lord, we're all infinitely different. And the Lord has the ability to have infinite fun with all of us simultaneously. Something we can't understand. So, this kind of plan, the more you start planning, and I know I said those sheets, we'll start working on those sheets of how to plan this, Because until then, it's like, it's a hobby. As I said, you're an amateur basketball player. You kind of don't have to train for long. You do practice in your spare time sometimes. You can see a bit of potential in yourself. You occasionally go to sleep early before a game. But then you want to be one day you go, I'm going to be a professional basketball player. Then it changes. Because I'm going to be a devotee now. That means Krishna first every single time, me second. And what you realise is that leap of faith that, I don't need to worry about myself now because actually that something happened, or this something happened, or that something happened. And Krishna controls Maya. Even if you go, I'm thinking about you all the time, and you're pure heart thinking about Krishna, Krishna will make sure you have food, he'll make sure you have shelter. This is his energy. Right? With sincerity, that will happen. But not like, I'm 22, I'm going to go and stay in the temple for a couple of weeks, and everyone will take care of me. That's just contrived. But when there's real effort to plan, Krishna reciprocates many more times than you can possibly imagine. And Dhruva Maharaj and Bali Maharaj and Bhagavatam, Bali Maharaj, of course, very famously, the Lord came to him in his dwarf form, Vamanadev. And Bali Maharaj was a demon and conquered all the demigods, all the higher upper planets. And his Sukracharya, his priest said, don't let that Brahmin in, don't let that Brahmin into the chamber. He goes, no, I've done my daily dues. I speak to Brahmins, I speak to priests, and if they will ask me for something, I'll have to give it to them. So the demigods had prayed to Krishna, how do we get all our stuff back? This guy's taken it all. He turns up as a dwarf and he goes, said, what would you like? And he said, I'd like the amount of land that takes me 2 steps to have. If I take 2 steps, I want that land. And then I was dwarf. All right, dwarf, have your 2 steps. So the first step is one end of the universe. He goes, what? Step one from one here to the other end of the universe. So then there's a problem. And then he takes another step, and then when does he put a 3rd step? And Bali Maharaj's devotee says, well, I'm promised. You'll have to put your step on my head. I'll be the end. Of course, Krishna then says, no, you can have your own, you can have your own planet, you have your own stuff. Okay? But not many devotees would have, not many souls would have done that. To go, I'll keep my word. And the Lord was ecstatic with love. This is prema. This is highest dharma. Not ability to break your promise. Krishna is the essence of all dharma.
Wasn't it 3 steps?
3 steps, yeah. This is the 3rd step that he had to put on his head. Yeah. So you have to have this leap of faith that it's going to work out. And I say this, that, as you progress in Bhakti, you realise the people doing the classes are really doing it for themselves. They're really saying these things for themselves. That I need to do this as much as anybody. And with practice, it does change. You do go, don't go for the cornflakes. What does Krishna want? And I've often gone, I want the cornflakes. And I go, Krishna wants tomatoes. And I have to shift. And suddenly I'm not eating for my tongue. You see what the effect of that is? Because my tongue wants the sugar in the cornflakes, but I actually have to do something else for Krishna. And then you start eating for Krishna. It starts coming. And that's just practice. All it is practice. Like, if you want to practice going to sleep at 9:30 or 9, whatever, you can just practice it. So, yeah. Sorry, I've overloaded that point. Krishna, thank you. Any questions?
I sometimes, the only thing when you tell me that story, the first thing that came to my mind, what scene would have been like the whole universe is covered in 1 feet. I mean, just imagine you're sitting there and the whole universe is covered in 1 feet. Yeah. I wish I could be there just to watch it. Yeah, I mean, probably in that yuga, probably not, still be extraordinary. It wouldn't be as, but they have a lot more faith in it. It wouldn't be completely, because the people conquering higher planetary systems and all that. So it's not completely as mad as it sounds now, but it's still been pretty wacky. Yeah, I sometimes feel what it feels like to actually see Krishna in action. I sometimes feel that. What it feels like, I sometimes do chanting. I said, I want to see you in action sometimes. Like you're the greatest musician ever. You can do magic. I really want to see that. I really want to see that. That is my wish. I don't know if he's going to grant me, but that's my wish. I really want to see. Yeah.
I think that's very, very good. That's very nice message. I think in the end that you won't want to see that. You won't need to see that because Arjuna in the end he didn't want to see the universe. He saw the universal form, but then he didn't want to see it because he was like by the time he already guessed that. He wanted to see. He saw that because Krishna showed in the Bhagavad Gita. If you look at the text really carefully, when Krishna says, "No one before has seen such a beautiful form of me, such a form of me." He's talking about the 2-armed form with the flute, right? Remember we talked about the flute when Krishna plays his flute, when he puts the flute, picked up the flute, he's got 3 different flutes, as you know, and he's got like a 6-inch flute, and he picks up the flute, and as soon as he picks the flute up, also when he's present on earth, all the demigods can see this. And if that flute goes to the mouth, and he goes, like some of them actually faint with ecstasy before even the sound comes, because they know how extraordinary that sound is. Right? Because you imagine all the greatest musicians in the world, all their abilities come from Krishna. Right? He explains this in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm the strength of the strong. And imagine the flute, right? And the spiritual world, when he plays the flute, all the energies are different to the material energy. So stones will melt. Stones can melt in the spiritual world. Rocks can turn into liquid and all that sort of stuff. So when he's playing the flute, everything's alive in the spiritual world. It has nature to it. And this extraordinary things happen. The bamboos, they try and lean over. Of course, they're really sad because, of course, he's got a bamboo flute as well. So it's the gold flute. And they didn't get picked to be a bamboo flute. So I'm in the spiritual world, but I didn't get to be, and the gopis are like, there's so much poetry on the gopis. They're so angry, annoyed, and jealous in a wonderful way about not getting to touch the lips of Krishna. That flute is really a kind of object of real hatred in a nice way. Like how can that flute be on his lips? How will we ever become bamboo sticks? And we might be picked one day to be on his lips, and that music will come out. You know? And Brahma's known that, you know, if he's caught off guard and the flute is heard by him, he falls off his swan aeroplane. He literally just falls off it because it's so enlightening. You know? And we can't even imagine. Although it's possible to have a little taste of some of these rasas as you chant more and more deeply, you'll start feeling some of these things. But yeah, just, you know, just do more of whatever you're doing. That's all I can say. You know, you're really doing so much amazing stuff because you're coming to a class, you're doing your kirtans, Pradeep is filming kirtans and helping everybody and promoting Kirtan Adelaide. You just need to keep consistency with that and try and improve consistency, and then you'll see the mature energy will just dissolve. And you know what? Eventually you'll just get bored of it. Hang on a minute, I'm just having another conversation about myself. What I think the tea should be, or what that person did. Okay, I'm so boring. I don't know what to talk about myself. What's my Krishna? Where's Krishna? I don't fill my head with that rubbish about me. I'm just stuck in this body, for God's sake.
That takes time.
It does.
Eventually, like, it's not like it's going to happen overnight. I feel that. Yeah.
It will happen quicker. It will happen quicker than you think it will.
Yeah.
By
Because,
consistency.
I think last week I dropped my chanting. I swear to God, my goodness, the worst week of my life. And I'm trying to consistent 16 rounds. He's doing his 16, so I'm catching up now. I do almost try to do, because if I go to the temple and read a gardening, I have my clicker with me, I keep on chanting, so that I get my 16 rounds done, and I'm really like getting. And in the morning, like on Tuesday, we both got up at say 3 o'clock. We did like 7 rounds, 8 rounds. Like we get our stuff done. It's just that I get like 9 or 10 done in the morning. Those last 6 or 7, I'm just like,
Yeah, but
I'm getting it. I have to do it.
Yeah, I don't know a single person that didn't start like that to do 16 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, everyone started with a quarter of one round, even. You know, and because what happens is that there's a part of your body, part of your soul that still wants to be attracted to energy. And so it doesn't want to do, because it recognizes these big steps, like, I'm going to let go of mature energy a little bit. You know, it doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And what happens is,
I struggle with that.
yeah, but the more that in itself is like doing up a shoelace. So the more you practice, I now know I'm attracted to mature energy, that's why I'm not doing that bit of bhakti. So I need to force myself. The more you practice forcing yourself, the more you'll get better at forcing yourself, and then you'll be like, you will know your own tricks. You will know, the soul wants to go back to Maya. Yeah, okay. And now I show you. Yeah, so I've done other mornings like, you think I'd chant that last round like that? Do 3 more rounds.
Yeah.
You know, I've done that to myself and go, come on, show some love here. You know, this is Supreme Personality of Godhead in your mouth. You can't do it like that. You know, sometimes I really have a go at myself. Because there'll be, I know, if I can't find a reason, like, if it's not because I've ever stayed up late or because I'm helping someone do some bhakti or something, I will be pretty strict with myself, because for me there's nothing more important, you know. But that, you're right, that comes, but it comes quicker than you think.
Yeah.
Because the fact you're talking about this and therefore you see the obstacle means that Krishna is going to let you conquer that. He's just waiting for. You know, always remember Mother Yasoda, when she wanted to bind Krishna, she couldn't catch him until he felt that she would be in ecstasy when she could. She was so exhausted that when she did bind him, she would feel this great joy. So that's when he let it happen. You know? And Krishna, because that's the moment where the purification occurs. It's when you are not doing the 16 in the morning and suddenly start forcing yourself. That's the deep purification, which your energy drops. You know? I think a lot of people will notice when it's a japa. You might do this already, but when japa gets 8 rounds, you'll notice the mature energy has less of an effect on you. Yeah, you just drops, like, because
I had the best day ever yesterday, because I did like 9 rounds in the morning, and I got it like everything done, and everything was so good, and I had the best day ever.
Because what you're actually,
I dropped at 7 today.
Yeah, what technically is happening is, because Prabhupada is so incredibly dear to Krishna, like he's basically one of the gopis, you know, and because if Prabhupada makes a promise, if you do this, you will get pure devotional service. Krishna he's in totally every subatomic particle of mature energy. He's constantly all-knowing. He knows everything that's happening everywhere, all the time. This is nothing to him. It's like little bits of dust, all material universes. He knows everything. Because Prabhupada said that, what you're getting when you hit that 8th round, and Kali Yuga is actually coming off you, the effect of Kali Yuga, is that's Prabhupada's mercy that Krishna is allowing. That's what you're going to benefit from. You know, and that's the benefit of a pure devotee. And you're trying to follow the instructions of a pure devotee. You know, and for Krishna, that is a very big thing. That's a very, very big thing. You know, because we could have done 5 rounds or 2 beats or something like that. You know, but we're all trying to progress. And what we're going to get is, because Krishna's love for Prabhupada is so great, and vice versa, you're going to get accelerated. You know, and all you need to do is go, okay, well I can do 10, so let me wake up 20 minutes earlier. Let me do 14. When you do 14, you just go, oh, let's do 16. You know? I remember the first time I did 16 rounds. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. You know, it was, I think 5, 6 years ago. You know? Before I was doing it on clock or doing it some other weird way, I just started doing it properly, because I realised that, you know, you either take this properly or you come back and reborn the material world. Who wants that? No sane person wants to be reborn as well.
Yeah.
It is totally disgusting. I mean,
It's disgusting. And when you read, I was listening to Amol Gita Prabhu.
Oh, yeah.
He's a very famous
Yeah,
person,
he's
and he
nice.
always speaks in Hindi.
yeah.
So I was one day, I think he was working on a public holiday last year, and I just turned it on. I always listen to Hindi when he's not there. So because all the stuff he doesn't understand. So I was listening to him, and he said something like this, that the more you go, like Prabhupada said, the more you go into this, the more it's going to bite you very badly. And I think that's what's happening to me. Like, I can just see it. That's what happens to me. I can see a consistency in me. I go really good, but then something happened and my japa gets dropped, and I go really bad. And it's happening from last 2 or 3 months. I can just see it. It's a pattern. I can just see it.
That's really good.
Now realize, you know what? I had enough of this. I had enough. I said I am going to like right now. I was thinking, you know what? I shouldn't go to Gita class. I should do my rounds. And I was like, no, I'm going to go to Gita class. I'm going to finish my round tonight, and then I'm going to go to sleep. So what if I get up late in the morning, or we don't have breakfast? Who cares? DC's going to get his round done. He's very sincere in the rounds, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm very
So
bad.
that's very very amazing. You're observing these things. That's going to be important. I mean, try and write them down in a notebook. That'll help you to see what's happening to you. But I think ultimately this is about surrender, because you've always been surrendering to the material energy. So you want to go back to thinking about something that isn't to do with Krishna, or doing something that not to do with Krishna. So this is about switching, and that's the hard thing. Like, imagine you're turning an oil tanker, ocean, you're trying to turn it. And there's not much to go between there and the coast, and you've got to turn it. That's what you're trying to do. That's what we're all trying to do. And that requires a lot of effort, you know. But at the same time, you've got somebody that will change the waves to make it happen, which is Krishna, you know. So that's about surrender. I think when you start doing that surrender, that will change. But you all look, I always see amazing things in all devotees. Like, you don't realize that you're trying to be persistent here, you're trying to be consistent. Steve's being consistent, and Pradeep's being consistent, and these consistencies are more important. The fact you come every week and you're doing some rounds, that's gonna you'll eventually get that 100%. You know, because I know Krishna will do what he'll do. You know, there's no doubt in my mind.
I had a headache when I came in. I swear to God, I'm so energized right now. Like, I want to get this thing done. I want to get it done.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Who cares?
Well, thank you for the mercy of your association.
Yeah.
It's really important for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's really good that we have this class every week, so that it just clears it. And it's good. It's on Wednesday. It's like mid of the week.
Yeah.
It just clears your mind.
Yeah. So what you
so good.
What you learn is, like, imagine you're going through. This is important actually. Imagine going through a forest at night.
Yeah.
And it's like you're in Scandinavia. It's winter, so you've only got 2 hours of sunlight, right? And there's no GPS. You've got no phones. And you're going to make your way back to your car. And you're going to go on a 7-hour walk. You're going to have to drop things along the way to find your way back to the car. right? So eventually you will know, if I don't do any bhakti, if I don't go to a class or watch something online, like Bhagavad class, if I leave it more than 7 hours, everyone will have a different way. The material energy will come to, you'll see it coming towards you. Actually, before you go, I can see it coming. And you'll actually got to stop it because you go, now I know I've got to do this, you know? So I know when I come out of a meeting or whatever, I've got to go back into Bhagavad, I've got to go back into an online class, or, you know, I don't want the material energy that close to me.
No.
You know, and I think that will become a conscious decision you'll make, and then you will have no problems with any of this. And it's literally, it might be a month away, I don't think it's too far away for you. That's probably going to happen quite soon.
Because most of the weekend, like when we drop these, and he's actually the one who always say, no, get your 16 done, get 8 done, get 5 done. He always constantly is saying this, get 5 done, get 6 done, get something done. He's always like, sometimes I get annoyed, just get away from me. Like, you know, like I get annoyed, and I feel like that's the material energy saying, no, get away, because it's like.
And then you have to encourage them around as well, because he's getting extra mercy by getting you to chant. Just like he's getting mercy with his chanting, but then he's getting this hyper mercy because he's encouraging you.
Yeah.
Kirtan Adelaide. Leave a like and subscribe.